Star Wars only. I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
Well, it looks like we may have the next Star Wars movie that's in the works, and this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter, and the director is supposedly a guy named JD Dillard. Now, it's not confirmed that he's the director, but he and a guy named Matt Owens have been tapped to develop a project for Star Wars. But the kicker here from the Hollywood Reporter is that it's not confirmed that this is going to be a Disney Plus release, or it's actually going to be a theatrical Star Wars film. So things are kind of looking a little interesting over there in the Star Wars Lucasfilm world, because recently, as far as I think a month ago, we were talking about Taika Waititi being the director for another Star Wars film. Now, if you don't know who JD Dillard is or Matt Owens is, no one would blame you. Even I was a little surprised by these names. I've heard of JD Dillard. I have not heard of Matt Owens. Matt Owens is the writer of the pair, so I don't think he'd be directing or doing anything like that for Star Wars, but he has written shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Luke Cage. He's supposed to be writing the new One Piece TV series, which I did not know was happening, and The Defenders. So he's clearly a writer. He's a writer for people like Marvel, so it doesn't seem too surprising that he would jump over to something like Lucasfilm and do a Star Wars project, maybe show. I mean, it really doesn't seem like it's going to be a show that they're working on here. It mainly just seems like a movie. So I'm kind of surprised that they're making him write a movie, considering he's never written a movie. But hey, you know, a teleplay and a screenplay aren't vastly different, I guess. JD Dillard is someone who was mainly known for his movie Slight, which was not praised a lot by the critics, but it was given a pass by the critics and audiences not so much. I'm gonna be honest, it never caught my interest. But he has written a fair amount, and mainly video shorts. But he wrote his movie Slight. He wrote a movie called Sweetheart and another one called Stray. And then he's directed that movie Slight that he wrote, and Maria, which is another short, and not much other things. The Utopia TV series, of one of the episodes, he did that. So he's not very well known in the film industry as of yet, but he's getting attention now, it seems. And this isn't a bad move per se if he is the director. What would surprise me the most, though, is if he does helm this project, because this is a pair of people who aren't very well known. And you'll see this a lot in the Star Wars fandom, where they bring in someone that Star Wars fans have never heard of, and then suddenly everyone's an expert on these people. And you had this case with Rian Johnson, where Rian Johnson was brought in for The Last Jedi, and everybody was like, oh, okay, well, I'm interested to see what he does. And then he gets like the Rian Johnson film Last Jedi, and then he gets his entire trilogy, and everyone's like, wow, he must be great. And then they see The Last Jedi, get really divided, and then no one likes Rian Johnson. So you have this a time or two in the Star Wars fandom. You have this with even Kathleen Kennedy. No one knew who Kathleen Kennedy was in the Star Wars fandom, unless you were really up to date on film, until she became Lucasfilm president, and people didn't like the way things have gone for Star Wars, so they blame her for everything. So it's one of those things where if you get someone completely unknown like these two guys, it would kind of, in my opinion, be a little beneficial, because if you can't look at their record, if you can't look at some of the things they've done, because let's be honest, they haven't done too much, well, you kind of have a mystery box situation of you don't really know what you're going to get. We don't know anything about the plot of this so-called movie, because I don't know if I want to call it a movie or just a feature film possibility, or a Disney Plus, what would you call like a Disney Plus film? It's not really a film, not really a movie, because you're not going to the movies to see it. It's just happens to be a 2-hour runtime on a Disney Plus streaming service. I have no earthly idea what I could call this, but yeah, interesting development over there. It seems that these two have been tapped to work on the film that's coming out either on Disney Plus or the 2022 Star Wars film, possibly. I would hope, let's be honest, I'm gonna be honest. I hope this is just these two guys coming in to write the film. I don't hope that Matt Owens writes it and then JD Dillard, did I call him Millard earlier? I hope I didn't, but I hope JD Dillard doesn't come in and write and direct this. I don't like writing and directing kind of situations over there in Star Wars. I don't think it helps. I would hope that these two guys come in and they both write the story and the screenplay. Like Dillard writes the story and Matt Owens writes the screenplay. I'd be okay with something like that. I want a a better director, in my opinion. I want someone who's not completely well known, but has been around the block a time or two when it comes to directing. Someone who has a lot more experience than these two guys. And there's options out there. So I don't think this is bad news. I don't think it's great news. It's news that makes you go, huh, I wonder how this can go. And like most situations with Star Wars, this can go really good, or it can go really bad. And I'm hoping it's the former instead of the latter. And I'm pretty confident it will be the former. I'm pretty confident that these two guys are going to come in, write the movie, and it's most likely going to come out on Disney Plus. If I'm being honest, I think they're going to do a little bit of a gambling situation there, where they're actually going to play it safe with the 2022 film, and then play it a little riskier when it comes to the actual shows and whatever movies they do on Disney Plus. I think the idea of putting a Star Wars movie on Disney Plus is also risky. If it's not a major film, if it's not an episodic film that tells a vast story, if it's just a small story about a side character that we're all mildly interested in, sure, by all means. But yeah, the Star Wars movie is in the works over there at Lucasfilm, and JD Dillard and Matt Owens have been tapped for the project. What that project is, we don't know. When it's releasing, we don't know. What are they doing over there? 110% most likely writing, but JD may be directing, so take that as you will. I don't have much to spin on this or talk much about. It's a very interesting move, if we're being honest. I think it's a good move, but it depends on, like I said, the execution of it, of if writing it or directing it. But you know, we can talk about the possibilities all day, but when it actually happens, it might be a completely different story. But tell me your thoughts below. I'm Star Wars Only. I want to hear your thoughts about this news. Matt Owens and JD Dillard being tapped for a Star Wars movie that may be on the Disney Plus streaming app, or maybe theatrical release. Tell me your thoughts below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See y'all next time, and may the Force be with you always.